information that I just got is so positive and so powerful that, and even though I can't tell you exactly what it is, I can tell you what it's about. And that is that remember we've talked in the past about activity in out west. I refer to it as out west, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Well, my understanding is the activity out west has been confirmed to have started. And that is a very good sign for those that understand groups, cores, SKRs, all of that stuff. That was the confirmation that I got. And I'm not going to dwell on it, but I think it's absolutely vital, and it was very, very welcome news. All right, so we've got that happening. Let's keep going. We had thought, guys, that we would not have a call tonight, of course. We thought that everything would be going and we'd be essentially done by now. But, maybe it is fitting that we had this final call tonight. It did finish up our 6 years on the big call. And I just think what I'm hearing right now, it's not really about Iraq anymore. We know that, the dinar has been active and it's been trading and it's been used in Iraq and lower dinams and all of this stuff. I don't know that we're going to see a rate on the CBI until Sunday when the Forex comes up Sunday night. I would think that's probably when we'll see something that you and I could both look at. But I can tell you, I know what the rate is. We talked about it on Tuesday's call, where it was approximately, and it's all very, very good. This is good, and it's moving up. It's being traded, and it's just on its way up. So that's good. Other currencies are also being traded, and some of these are currencies that I don't have any real background in or any information on, but I knew one of them was going to be coming along nicely, and I just had a feeling about it. The Philippine peso, I had a feeling about that one all along because it was a little more expensive than the Vietnamese dong was, but it was to buy. But it was, when I thought, I wonder if the Philippines might come along with Vietnam. And I think what's going to happen is a lot of these Southeastern Asian countries are going to come up and be relatively close to each other, maybe even within 8% of each other. That's what I've heard, and I think that's probably true because a lot of them are trading partners. A lot of them are in that part of the world where, they can't be too far off from each other. It just doesn't make it really that possible to do business. Another thing I did learn today is we had heard years ago. This is sort of like the big call-in review. We had heard years ago that there would be 3 baskets of currencies, and then more recently, in the last year or so, we heard, nope, it's all coming out together, all one basket, it's all kind of happen at the same time. And then we found out today, guess what? There's going to be 3 baskets. We're going to have the one that we know about with maybe 1 or 2 other currencies in there, and then we'll have another one, and then we'll have another one, all within a year. Can't tell you when it's going to be or what currencies they are, exactly, but that's something you can look into. Actually, to be honest with you, if you've got Zim, there's not really much sense in going into anything else, to be honest with you. So it's just kind of neat to know that there are 2 other baskets that are going to be coming up later on. Let's see. What else happened? We did get that the banks had a software upgrade today, and I believe that was installed around 10 a.m. I'm going to call it Eastern Time, as of 10 a.m. this morning. Bank systems were upgraded, and then with software. And then we heard that at 2 o'clock today, a system integrity test was done on that software with the banks, and we had heard that by last night, by 11:30, the banks would be essentially ready for that upgrade. In other words, they would be synced enough to be able to move forward today with some good stuff. So we had 11:30 was met last night. We had 10 a.m. this morning. We had 2 p.m. this afternoon for the system integrity test, which we have to believe was successful. And at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 hours later, all the redemption centers were staffed, fully staffed, and up and running, ready to go. So, we weren't, we weren't fully sure over the holidays whether they would be ready and fully staffed, but they are now. Okay? So, we have an opportunity to go between now and New Year's. I believe it is the plan to do that. But I can't call it, and I'm not going to call it and say definitively that's going to happen. But I do believe good things have happened today that are pointing us toward this going down. Now, one other thing, try to understand the terminology here. When we use the term ZIM swaps, SWAPS, ZIM swaps or ZIM trades, we're talking about large amounts that are essentially being traded. And this was supposed to start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern tonight, and it started an hour early. They have been to throw off some of the sellers or some of the buyers internationally. That's what I understand. And I understand it happened in 128 different locations, I'm going to call it, not countries, but locations globally around the world at 6:30 Eastern tonight. That started. I think that's really good. Those ZIM swaps need to happen, and they need to happen so that the ZIM platforms can have rates that they can begin to transact. My understanding is that may start sometime tomorrow afternoon. So we've got a sort of a timeline of some things that have happened since last night all the way through today and moving through to tomorrow that look very good for us for the weekend. Now, I can't tell you for sure about this, but I really think that we're getting the kind of information that should make everybody relatively excited, especially the last text that I just got while I was listening to Bob. And it was a confirmation, it was a strong confirmation. All right, so I'm going to say that the redemption centers are ready to go. That means the call centers are also ready to go. And when I get the toll-free number, which is still supposed to come to me, I will certainly put it out and get it to Bob, get it to Kent, and then you guys can get it by going to the websites, or I'll have Bob email it to you if you have registered on our new site, BigCallUniverse.com. BigCallUniverse.com is the site that Bob has set with a number of emails that people have registered on, and then he can go ahead and forward you basically, from out west. You guys know about those. We've got another group that is primarily attached to one bank, and they'll have their own numbers for that. And then I'll have a number for what I call the internet group, which will be for about 6 or 6.5 million people that have been paying attention, that have not or don't want to be part of any other group, but rather they want to go in and go individually, not as part of a group per se, but go into the redemption centers with an appointment, especially for ZIM, to do their redemption of their ZIM bonds, and then also your other currencies as well at the same place. But I just want you to know that that's a little different thing than some of the numbers that already might be coming out. I don't know what the timing's going to be on it. I have a feeling it could be simultaneous with the other group that we had talked about a long time ago, but I believe that many of you on the big call are interested in going into the redemption centers and working with a number of the banks that'll be there, plus the host bank, which is HSBC. And HSBC, we do have the ability, as I've mentioned, for you to privately negotiate your rates on those four currencies, which were Zim, dinar, dong, and rial, okay, Iranian rial. So you have some flexibility there based on your ability to convince them that you need a really solid high rate for the humanitarian projects like Restore America, like the Veterans Retreat Network, or any of your own projects that you may have. And you know what? Every few days we think of something else that would be really cool, like the idea of infrastructure and burying electrical and phone and fiber optic and all of that underground. And, and just essentially having this stuff underground where, we won't have any problem with hurricanes or big storms or even tornadoes typically won't hurt that kind of buried cables. I hope we can get a lot of the country to go to that. And really, I know it can be expensive, but I think we can afford that. I really do. I'd love to see that be something we could do in 10 years. Because that way we'd protect against an EMP, against a solar flash, any number of things that would normally attack our grid. They're talking about restoring our grid or really trying to make it, attack proof. That's one way to really help to do that, I think. So hopefully we can get the president's ear and the administration to think how we can help use some of our infrastructure bonds to do that. Because I think that would be really cool. The only thing you can't do if you're putting that stuff underground is you can't plant trees on that line, and you can't dig around and put other plantings there. But basically, shoot, man, that'd be great to get those things underground. Just like they're going to do in Puerto Rico, they're going to do it over on Dominica. I think St. Martin will have a lot of that. There'll be a lot of the Caribbean islands that were just wiped out by Hurricane Maria. And I think that's the way it's going to be to do the new infrastructure there to get that stuff underground. I think we could do it here too, on our USA mainland. Let's see what else is going on, guys. Now, depending on where your zip code is for your redemption center, my understanding is there will be some bank representatives from the Tier 1 banks at many of the redemption centers to help you with setting up new accounts for other banks other than HSBC. And maybe I think Wells Fargo will also be at the redemption centers, but I think you might also have a Bank of America rep, a Citibank rep, a Chase rep, there so that you can set appointments or do whatever you need to do with additional banks. Now, they're going to determine that based upon the demographic and the density of the area in which you live. So if you're in a highly populated area or where you've got a lot of holders of currency, it's quite possible you could have 4, 5, 6 banks represented at the redemption centers. Just a heads up so that you would know that in case you're thinking about diversifying into more than 1 or 2 banks, you might be able to do that at your redemption. Okay? And just consider that, And then, of course, we do understand you should be able to do a bank wire transfer. They're going to be calling them ledger to ledgers, I believe. But these transfers can take place very quickly now, and I think that's going to be good. You can also pick up, I believe they're going to be in bundles of $2,500, new $100 bills that you could get, like 3 or 4 packs of $2,500 to take you up to maybe $10,000 at the redemption center to get some cash if you want it, if you're a cash person. And then you should be able to get a temporary debit card loaded with some amount of money on it before you leave, and then your permanent I'm going to call it platinum card or black card or whatever, tied to Wells Fargo or HSBC or whatever bank you choose, should be FedExed to you. You should get that in like a couple of days, I believe. It should not take more than, I think, 2 days to get the FedEx to you, and that's going to be really good. And that would be for your permanent card. Now, this is just me talking. This is just me. I like the concept of what comes with the black card, but I think that if you go with a black card, it's just kind of like telling the people that might be in the restaurant there or in the store with you or the cashier, whatever, hey, this is a black card. I know this is unusual, and it usually means unlimited capability for the holder of the card. So I think if it's possible, which I believe it is, you can get the black card benefits, but without going with a black card, but just going with a platinum card or a palladium card or a gold card or something other than black, because it just signifies so much that, a lot of parts of the country, guys, if you walk in with that, they're not going to know what to do with it. And some parts of the country are high-end enough where, they've seen black cards. They know about them. It may not be that big a deal. But to me, that's like, I think you set yourself up as a target if you start flashing a black card around for $100 restaurant bill. I just wouldn't do it. All right. Other than that, guys, I think that things are moving through for us finally. I believe the evidence has come to where we're getting good stuff, and I believe I'd pay close attention to emails and stuff over the next couple of days. Let's see what happens. We should have this. I believe their intention is to get this before the new year. I believe that's the plan. So we'll see. We'll see if they make it. I'm feeling really good about what I've gotten so far today, and even what I've gotten while I've been on the call. So I'm going to say I wish everybody to have a very safe New Year's Eve. Enjoy New Year's Day. I know I will. And, guys, remember, New Year's Eve is kind of like amateur night. I know you could very well be in celebratory mood. I get that, in a celebratory mode. But please, the last thing we need is, a prom night car crash or something due to drunk drivers out there. I'm going to just in your place to take over for you when this happens. At least it's not as far as I know. I'm just teasing. But really, guys, just be good, be confident, have fun, but just be very careful out there. Now, I've talked a lot more than I thought I would tonight, so I'm going to cut it off. And I'm just going to say, have a beautiful New Year's Eve. Thank you for 6 years of faithfulness, listening to the big call. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Pastor Stephen.